All right, so he starts off this first section, he calls it the nature of the questions. And he says a limited methodological naturalism interprets phenomena on natural terms when possible, right? So here's a particular event that happens in the world, and we consider it with regard to, natural terms. He says, with or without possible divine providence at work, and looks for natural causes and effects. He calls this a limited methodological naturalism. And he says many of the early modern scientists who pioneered such an approach did so while affirming Christian beliefs. So yes, they looked at it from a naturalistic perspective, but they didn't throw out Christian beliefs. They were contending that the Creator designed the universe to act usually in predictable ways. And so notice the assumption here is God created the universe in such a way that we then can observe it and understand the ways that it's acting and make predictions as a result of that. He says this valuable heuristic tool, that is, this limited methodological naturalism, should not, however, be confused with a thoroughgoing philosophic naturalism that a priori rejects the possibility of actively reflecting suprahuman intelligent activity. Right? So he makes a distinction between a limited methodological naturalism that says, okay, what's the best natural explanation for this, versus a philosophic naturalism that says there's no such thing as suprahuman intelligent activity. All we have is nature.
Right.
And so he makes that distinction here. And he says most of the folks who were doing science at the time had Christian beliefs. And so they weren't philosophic naturalists, but they did use a limited methodological naturalism for their approach.
Right. They attempted to not God in the gaps it as much as possible. So, and again, we looked at in chapter 4, we talked about how the fact that even the New Testament itself says that these miracles are unnatural, that they're not in the normal ways. In fact, calling it a sign, most miracles as being a sign or a message to be interpreted through a fulfillment of prophecy. That's the main reason that miracles did happen in the New Testament as a thing to stand out on purpose. And so that's something that carries through to even the Christians of the Enlightenment period. All right, so for general purposes used here, a miracle may be defined, and here's Keener's definition rather than Hume's. Miracle can be defined as an extraordinary event with an unusual supernatural cause. Although this definition is problematic for a number of vantage points. It's problematic from a conventional theistic perspective because all that is natural has an ultimate supernatural cause. It's also problematic because extraordinary or unusual are normally a matter of degrees. The relevance of these terms applicably in a given case may thus prove subject to much contention. And showing an event to be demonstratively supernatural is also epistemologically problematic, especially given different observations, varying standards for proof. Nevertheless, among the range of proposed definitions, this one can function as useful to the discussion. So it may not be the perfect hone in all the sides, but for the purposes of the discussion here, a miracle should be defined as an extraordinary event with an unusual supernatural cause.